Welcome back to Small Changes, Big Shifts, creating rhythm and resilience through gratitude. And today's a very fun day, and it might get a little emotional, so I'll do my best not to let that happen. But, you know, as I was thinking about my life and thinking about celebrating people for over the next 40 days, I was thinking about my high school experience. And so I reached out to some of my high school friends to have a conversation with them about gratitude. So, hey, here we are. I'm talking with Farley Sebree, and Lisa's joining us from the UK. And we met, actually, got close in high school and have been friends ever since. We've stayed in touch. Some years we're in touch more than others. And then my friend Ken, who actually lives in Kansas City, we've been friends since sixth grade. And one of the first people that really befriended me when I lived in Parsons, Kansas. I moved there in sixth grade. And you guys may or may not know some of this story. And then, of course, Mary Fries. I call her Michaela because when I was a freshman in high school, she really helped transform my life. So, hey, you guys, thanks for joining me today. Glad to have you here. Hi. So, Lisa, let's start with you. So when we think of the word gratitude, what does it mean to you?
I think of gratitude as something that you should do every day to sort of step outside your own little bubble and think about all the positive things in your life and why you're in the position that you're in, not because of what you've done, but because of what others have done for you. That's the way I think of it.
Well, ding, perfect. Ken, what would you add to that? What's it mean to you?
That's great. It just warms my heart to be here. Gratitude, you know, I've spent some time thinking about this since we all started talking about this. And, you know, I think for me, gratitude is a recognition of the gifts that have come into my life and being so thankful for them, because that's really what we take away from it. Take away from all those experiences, this feeling of gratitude and thankfulness that we've experienced them, and the people that have given those gifts to us. So I'm so thankful for that.
Well, it's funny. I can say this because I know this is true of all of you. So I did a kindness campaign, 31 days. And people kept writing me and saying, can you keep that going a little longer? It ended on November 13th on World Kindness Day. And I said, well, I don't know. I don't have the content ready for the next 300, whatever that's 334 days more. So I'm working on this gratitude program. And so I'm not sure if you've seen this book. It's really hard to get these days, called 20,000 Days and Counting. And I know for a fact, because I know most of your birthdays here, that you've all lived at least 20,000 days, maybe a few over, I'm a few under. My 20,000 days in January 2nd, and this 40 days will lead up to that. And I agree with you, Ken. It's really, and Lisa, it's really about people. And Mary, I'm going to come to you. And I've actually had this conversation with you, never face to face. But when I think about Mary, I think about a tough time in my life. And Mary, you may remember this. And Ken and Lisa, you were at Mary's house, but I got invited as the outsider to come to Mary's house, and I think it was probably freshman year in high school. Were we still in middle school at first? Was it 7th, 8th, 9th grade? I can't remember. It was, wasn't it? So yeah, it was 9th grade. And Mary invited me to come over to her house. It was such a pivotal time in my life. My mother and first stepfather had divorced. My mother had remarried. I was kind of hanging out, doing things with people I shouldn't have been doing. And it really just course corrected me. And Mary, I'm not sure where I'd be had you not invited me. So I wanted to make sure I shared that with you. And I don't know if Ken and Lisa really knew that story. So Mary, I'm extremely grateful for you because of how you touched my life and created so much of a ripple. But I'm curious, what is in your parents? I'm going to change my question to you because tell me where you learned gratitude from, because what made you reach out to somebody that was not considered an insider and invite them to your house?
I'm going to say Middle Eastern hospitality. That's what a term that used to fly around my house. But I think my dad was much more hospitable, although my mom was loving and gracious. And I don't know that she really liked every stranger coming into my house having a meal. But I heard Middle Eastern hospitality many times growing up. And my dad didn't know a stranger. And they both lived each day, I would say, teaching me gratitude, and they were very gracious people. And anyway, I grew up just not knowing strangers, not thinking that there were strangers or boundaries on who you let in your house and who came to dinner. And my kids find a fault in that, but it was definitely my parents. And they say that my dad was from Lebanon, and he came to this country in his early 30s with an 8th grade degree and not speaking any English. And he took over my mom's family. She had 4 children. Her first husband had died of lung cancer when he was 34. And I guess in the Bible, Moses says that you all take over your deceased brother's family, but he came to the United States and just gave everything to my mom and her children, her 4 boys, and then had my sister and I, and they were very loving, giving people. So I just thought that was normal to have you over.
Well, I know that Lisa and Ken will have stories of your parents too, and now you're paying it forward you're in education, coaching. Is that right, Mary?
Yes.
And just so you all know that are listening and tuning into this conversation, Lisa and Mary has said they've not seen each other for about 20 years. I've seen Lisa a few times in the UK and then Parsons, and I see Ken often because we both live in Kansas City. And Mary, I've seen maybe twice since we graduated high school in '84. So it's been a bit. But I think it's important when you think about gratitude to think about how it played out in your life, because at the end, all we have is those relationships. So Mary, how are you paying it forward with your students?
Oh my, talk about getting teary-eyed about things. I'm very open with my students at school. I currently teach 7th grade, and I think probably forming relationships with those kids is the best way to get to know them and to teach them, because if they are not interested in you or what you have to say about anything, then they're not going to listen. And there's a lot of heartbreaking stories out there, and I don't know, we all grew up in the same hometown, and if it was always like it is now, but there's a lot of sad stories out there. And I honestly teach gratitude, I think, every day. We talk about being kind, and that's a big push, of course, just if you're going to be anything at all, be kind. 7th graders tend not to be so kind with one another. So I have a sign on my door, basically, that we'll treat each other with respect and kindness. And they see that. And when we see that that's not happening in the class, things stop and we talk about it and we discuss it. And we've had some great opportunities here. As you know, the push in the schools right now has gone toward a very social, emotional trend, and to meeting the students' needs emotionally, A scores, like adverse childhood experiences, and those numbers and how it affects them as children all the way through the adults. And as you know, Michelle, health-wise, all the way up to their adult and aging years. So I feel blessed because I feel like I have the opportunity, I have a key to talk about gratitude and wellness and being thankful, and with kids every single day. And I take advantage of that, and we do a lot of that.
I'm thinking about, actually just hit me that all 3 of your parents stayed married until they deceased. Ken, your parents are still alive. Lisa, I had the privilege of hanging out. Speaking of great parents, they were so good to me. And, like I said, I was a new kid. You may or may not remember, I came to Parsons when I was in 6th grade and moved a lot. So had trouble kind of attaching to people and didn't know if we were going to move again. And so, Mary, you invited me, and I got to know Lisa and the Farley family. And then Ken, you were just a stable force that I knew I could always count on you. So Lisa, when you think about gratitude, who do you think your examples were growing up?
Oh gosh, definitely my parents. My dad was kind of the small town doctor, and I think he was pretty impactful in terms of understanding how to care for people. We constantly had sick people coming over to our house all the time, calling at all hours of the night. And he was always, it didn't faze him. I mean, he was there to help people. And I think just being able to see your parents behave that way is a really strong thing. We didn't talk about it in terms of you need to be grateful, but you could just see it every day with my dad and my mom too. I mean, she was, big into Girl Scouts, and she did, she had lots of things that she ran. And I now know as an adult that those were totally thankless activities that she did out of the kindness of her heart to help other people. So I think I was lucky to have some good role models in my parents.
Ken, how about you? I think your mom's name's Diane. Dad's name's Ken, too. He doesn't go by Ken, though.
He goes by Sonny. He's the second. I'm the third.
You're his son, but his Sonny. Anyhow, so tell me, what about gratitude for you? And Ken, once again, you have been a constant. If I think about anybody in my life, I have actually probably seen you more and over more years, not in time wise, but have had probably the closest relationship to you. And
Sure.
It's hard to believe because we see each other, but we don't really see each other. And thanks for always being there. And thanks for helping me find that ring that I lost when we were going for a bike ride in 6th grade. It was a family. It was the most precious family thing. For that ring, and you helped me find it. But anyhow, I'm going to say thank you for all your believing eyes and for staying in touch.
Yeah, thank you. That means a lot to me because it has been a minute. 6th grade was a while ago. And to see from this side that arc that we have lived through from early on to kind of getting out of the world that we lived in and kind of creating our own world, and then really at this stage in our lives, living it, living that manifestation that we've created over all of our experiences. And I think that's also a real gift to be able to share that with people, all of you, over such a long period of time. I really appreciate it. I love this idea, and I love that we're able to come together and see each other, and whatever level this is. The world's changed a little bit in the last year or so, but it's really a treat for me as well. But I was thinking as Lisa was talking, and as you, Michelle, I looking back at it now, I realize how much my friends and my friends' parents also provided me an example, because my parents both worked and were really busy and living their lives, and they were very young and just trying to plug in and make it happen too. So I had a different type of experience than some other people maybe with my parents. So to be able to go to the Farley house or the Saliba house and be with friends and their families, and just really give me a sense of extended family, has been something that I have honestly taken throughout my life and built on that, and learned that family is not always about biology, and that we've really been able to create the family that means something to us. And that's really hitting home at this stage in my life, where we've really been able to create our own family and live it and love it. And it means a lot to me.
Well, and be grateful for it. And I think to echo, you can, Mary and Lisa, you guys probably, maybe you get this and maybe you don't because you got a chance to live it. Well, it was pretty special at your house, having seen your parents being engaged in your lives and showing up and wanting to meet your friends. And I want you to know of what an impact it had, not only on me, but I'm sure other people. And Lisa, you have kids. You have 3 kids. And I'm curious so they're kind of that age that we were. You've got a senior and you've got a new graduate and you got somebody in college. What would you want them to know based on having this conversation? If you had a magic wand and were able to pipe in a thought or an underlying theme in their hearts, what would it be?
You know, I think my kids kind of get the gratitude thing. And they get it because we've been really, really lucky to be able to travel as a family. And we've traveled to some developing countries. And when they were really young, we went to Cambodia and we worked at a rescue home for kids who were living in the trash dump and were rescued, or were child prostitutes and were rescued. And that at a young age made a massive, huge impression on them, because they were, they were the same age. They were running around. They were, they didn't have anything that was made of plastic, because Cambodia was so poor. They used their flip-flops as a soccer ball and played soccer with it. And I remember, the kids loved it, but we came back from that and they were kind of changed. And I think that they kind of got the why I should be grateful for what I have thing. And you can bet that as their mother, forever after that, I would say things like, "Oh, really? What do you think the kids in Cambodia are doing right now?" Which was a really sort of mean thing to do, but it was pretty effective. So I just, I hope that as they grow up and they have their own kids, that they will, keep those lessons in mind and in their hearts. And I feel lucky. I think they're pretty grateful kids.
Mary, you're in a different situation, small town, Parsons, Kansas. Nothing wrong with that. And a lot right with that, actually. I can't imagine how lucky they are to have you as a teacher. What would you, and I know you have kids as well. I actually have no idea. Do you have 3 or 2?
I have 3.
Okay. I know 2. So what, from your perspective of teaching kids, or for your kids, what would you, they had your parents around. I know your parents have both are deceased, but I guess the whole drill is I want people to see that what they do matters, even the littlest thing. And so what are you hoping to do, or the legacy with the kids that your kids you're hoping for?
I like Lisa's. Well, of course, my kids haven't had those experiences. Lisa, those are amazing. But my kids have had kind of a different sense. In 2010, we went through kind of after that, went through a series of losses. We lost my dad, then we lost my mom, and then we lost my sister-in-law, and then my sister-in-law lost almost her complete family during that time. So my kids, they became really grateful for time with family. And that's really important to them. And I think that's when their realization of materialistic things didn't matter at that point in time. And what mattered were the relationships that you made with your friends and with your family and the people you cared about and people they go to church with, the elderly population. I guess we have a lot of pseudo grandparents, and they'll spend time with them. My daughter's a senior too, Lisa. I can't wait to catch up with you. But, she'd spend the summer sitting out here with Kay Lawrence and Jackie Cobble swimming. And she would hurry home from tennis practice just so she could sit at the pool and spend time with Kay and Jackie. So they just, through that, they have been able to see, and then going to school at Parsons, of course, they're all walks of life that they're going to school with. But I've been very blessed too, in they realize how grateful they are, and put a real emphasis on, like I said, relationships, I think, more than anything else.
Well, I gave you guys just a couple heads up questions, and I didn't ask all of them, but you did a little thinking. And I think when you start to hear the word gratitude and you're going to be recording something, it kind of sparks some thoughts in you. I'm curious, Is there anything else that you would like to share before I ask you about your favorite quote?
When I think of gratitude in my life right now, I think a lot about the work that I do. I work with a team in Sierra Leone, and that team is it's a media organization, and they work with women and girls who are living in the quote last mile, which is the really, really rural areas that are, there's no electricity, there are no roads, there's no computer, much less mobile phones. I mean, they're living on less than $2 a day. And the team that I work with does phenomenal work, educating women and girls, helping them to keep themselves and their families safe from COVID, from domestic violence. And they are, I mean, that's what I think of right now when I think about gratitude, is these incredible people that I'm privileged to work with that have it so much harder than any of us by, 1,000%. So that keeps me grounded, I think, and makes me realize pretty regularly that I have a lot to be grateful for.
Mary or Ken, anything you want to add before we start to wrap up?
I'm grateful for this moment that I had with all four of you. I can't even begin to tell you that. There's just so many things. And I think as we get older, we realize what's important and how thankful we are for everything. I'm thankful that I get to go to school Monday morning, and all the mornings that I lay in bed and I'm like, oh, I don't want to go to school today. And I think I'm anxious. I'm anxious to see the kids. I'm anxious to see the people I work with that help and support me every day. And there's just so much. And I think we can all say as we get older, it's just every step I feel gratitude. I just overwhelmed actually with the blessings that I have in my life. So.
And we're so glad you're recovered from COVID or on the other side of the hard part. So we are grateful for that.
Thank you. Thanks.
Ken, I'm going to come to you, and if you want to add any thoughts, Ken, but what's one of your favorite gratitude quotes that you'd like to share, and maybe why? And you're on mute.
Yeah, no, I'm on mute. It's really funny because I spent some time thinking gratitude and reading some quotes, and they all seem to hit home in a little bit different place. And there's so many of them. You've done such a great job of bringing gratitude to focus, which is one of these great programs that you've got. So it's funny now because you sort of have this idea in your mind about, really what you're grateful for and the things that have happened. And then you get in front of a camera and you're just like, and that's really very, very much what I am now. And I was like, there's just so much, and it's hard to narrow down. But, one of the things that I would love to really bring to this as well is that I'm really grateful for finding something in each one of us that we appreciate and that we want to remain connected to, because it's been a while. And you're all I'm fortunate I get to see Michelle, you quite a bit more often than the others, but for Lisa, for Mary, and really, there are those people in your lives that you connect with in a way that time is not a barrier, and you can make that effort to connect, and you plug in right where you left off. There are times, and it goes a couple years without seeing Lisa, and I just feel directly connected the minute. We just don't lose any time at all. And Mary, I think last summer, it was later because this year has been so crazy, but the last time I saw you, I remember just sitting with you in your space and seeing your kids and all that stuff, and just feeling like there has been an ocean of time between us, but it doesn't feel it doesn't feel that way at all, because we can just plug in and reconnect and be right where we need to be. And that's great. Those are special people. Those are special events, special connecting places that we have with people. So, talking about gratitude, it's pretty special to have those people in your lives.
Well, and I'm glad you brought it up that way. I've been sharing this, and I'm not sure if people are catching one or two of the series, but about 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago, I was working out, and I'm going to say working out in kind of air quotes, because I ride a bike, but I'm usually working when I'm working out, so I don't think I sweat near enough, just so you know, if somebody wonders why, I'm like, oh, I don't probably sweat enough, but anyhow, it doesn't matter. At least I'm attempting it. But I kind of made a list in my notes section of my phone, and I thought about the day I was born, and thought about my mom, and I thought about my brother Mike, and then I thought about the next two people I saw, or my next two brothers, Scott and Steve, and I just kind of went through my life, and I didn't think about the shift that's happened in my life. I thought about the people that lifted me up through that. And it was easy to come up with you guys and how we have stayed connected. And so for people listening to this today, this is you're going to get a chance to hear my conversation with people, and hopefully it will trigger in your memory or your mind people in your life that have lifted you up in moments, whether it's your parents or a sibling or a grandmother, grandfather. It's, in my case, it's not typically my general family. And that's just part of my journey. I believe that's the journey God put in my life so that I would be who I am today. And I'm not disappointed by that. I'm so blessed because of people like this. My life's been very rich. So, Lisa, is there a quote you wanted to share? A gratitude quote?
My gosh. I don't have a favorite quote, but I loved all 40 of yours. So,
okay, well, good. I just want to make sure if I give you a little homework, I gave you a chance to present it. Because I picked a quote for you guys. Mary, do you have one off the top of your head? Because Mary, you're just now kind of seeing everything because you were down under.
Yes. And I loved all yours too. The one, and I don't know who said it, it's one of the little Facebook things that pop up, of course, but it says, what if you were to wake up tomorrow and have only what you thank God for last night? And I always like that one too, because, wow. Anyway, I would say that's probably one of my favorite ones.
You know what? That's not on my list, and I had forgot about that one. But when you say it, it just takes me right into my heart to make sure I go to sleep a little more grateful.
Yeah.
We have, when you talk about the kids in Cambodia or wherever, we have so much. And just like we were able to connect right now, and from 4 different places in the world, 3 in the States and then in the UK, and how great is that? Well, here's the quote I picked for you, and thank you for everything you've been in my life, everything you will still be in my life. Thank you for raising great kids who care about other people, because we know that they're the legacy of humanity. And how do we break the cycle of hate? It's through love, and love is gratitude. So here's the quote I picked for you guys today. Gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns problems into gifts, failures into success, the unexpected into perfect timing. Mary, that's for you. The unexpected into perfect timing, and mistakes into important events. Gratitude makes sense of your past, brings peace for today, and creates a vision for tomorrow. So thanks for all the gratitude you shared in my past with me. You've helped me create a vision for tomorrow, but most of all, I'm really grateful for your presence in my life today. So I love all of you. Thanks for saying yes.
Thank you. This was so fun. It's so amazing to be reunited, the 4 of us. I love it. And I'm totally grateful for all 3 of you guys.
Same.
Yeah. Blessings to all of you. All right. To all these tuning in today, hey, go out, do your homework. Think about people that have inspired you. Feel free to share a note with me. I'd love to hear what you're doing with this gratitude series, or not. Do whatever fills your heart. If you feel compelled, I'd love to cheer you on. All right. Blessings to all of you. And hey, I'll chat with you tomorrow.